Okay, on the line, we have a person who is currently incarcerated. Will you please state your name?
Hey, my name is Anthony Covert.
Okay,
I'm
and
currently incarcerated at Washington State Penitentiary.
all right, good. Now, we out here, the general population, they feel that you guys did the crime, so you need to do the time and sit there and serve out your term. Yet,
Right.
communication with the outside world is important to you. And it can help
Oh,
in
for
the
sure.
healing process. It can help as well as get you back into society. And to do that, we need to stay in contact with you, visiting,
Right.
talking on the phone. Now, you've been running into some issues over there with sponsorship and some of the communication
Right.
on the outside world. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important when we have the opportunity to have people from the outside community to come in and work with us to see what it is that we have going on. Because, like you said earlier, there is this stigma that we're just in here to just need to serve our time. But at the end of the day, us in here just serving our time does the community an injustice at the end of the day. I say that because it is important that we're giving guys that are incarcerated tools that are necessary for when they do get released and back into the community to become your neighbors, or the person behind the counter at the convenience store, or the person in line at the convenience store, whatever it may be, right? You want to be able to have guys that have tools to be able to know how to interact effectively and not revert back to old sources of interactions. So up here recently, we've been having a lot of trouble with being able to promote positive programming due to that stigma of people that even work up here, or people that come in here with a mindset as officers or as administration and feel that we should be just locked up in our cells and not offered anything. And so what my goal has been, and a couple of the other brothers that are up here with me, we've been working to put together programs that are peer-led programs that allow for opportunities for guys to think outside the box and have some real cognitive change. And we're reaching a point of a lot of resistance because there are people that have issue with the fact that it's black inmates that are putting together these peer-led programs. And they continuously hound us on the aspect of how come other people aren't doing these programs or putting these things together. And we have no answers for them. We encourage other people and all people to promote positive cognitive change. But trying to force us to have other people to do that is kind of odd to me. And so that's what our goal is, is to be able to push that positive cognitive change, but we seem to be reaching a lot of resistance just because we're black peer-led programs.
Now, would you say a lot of your resistance is coming from staff, or would you say it's coming from folks on the outside, or maybe other inmates? Where would you focus some of these issues that you're having right now?
I think it's a mix, right? It's a mix of staff that work here, and then it's a mix of staff that's in Olympia that aren't here to see how it works. They call it boots on the ground experience, right? They're not really here to see how a prison functions, and so they're making these decisions in the offices hundreds of miles away and deciding what is best for a facility that they've never even stepped foot in. And so here at the facility, especially WSP, they're always known as the redheaded stepchild of all the other facilities because in Washington State, this is the only actual penitentiary. The others are labeled as correction centers. And so because of that stigma or the old school wall away, it has been a thing that's been perpetuated. And because it's been perpetuated, there's that old mindset of we can't have inmates teaching other inmates because it could never come, nothing good could ever come from it. It can only be negative, or they're only teaching us to draw this line of us versus them. But they don't open their minds or come in and sit in there at the classes to see what it is that we really talk about. So it's definitely a mixture.
Now, just so the public will understand your concern here, what is the difference between a penitentiary prison and a correctional center?
Well, to be honest, Joe, there is no difference, right? It is just a name and a title. So inside of a penitentiary, there should still be rehabilitative efforts, just like in a correction center. The reason why they went away from penitentiary because it was a very strong word, right? They wanted to have something that was labeled less vulgar, essentially. So a correction center where things are your mind and your actions are supposed to be getting corrected is the term that they ended up going for. And that is the history that I have of why they switched the titles from penitentiary to correction centers.
Now, having been in this facility for a while, I'm sure you're aware of some things that work and some things that don't. So could you educate us on some of the things that they're doing right now that's not working to help any of the people that's incarcerated?
So some of the things that they're doing right now is they're thwarting a lot of programs. Throughout the facilities, in the correction centers, this penitentiary and other places, there is this mandate that it just came down about peer-led programs. And they're trying to stop people from having peer-led programs. Now, what a peer-led program is someone that gets the idea of, you know what, I think this would be beneficial to a population of people, whether it be an anger management class, whether it be a drug abuse class, whether it be a parenting class, or anything along those lines that people might deal with or might struggle with, right? Family relations, communications, things of that nature. And so what someone will do is they'll create a curriculum saying, you know what, here are some tools that I've used, going off of their own experience and saying, maybe the tools that I've used over my time can help these other people get to a better spot in their life. And so they're starting to stop those programs because they are more concerned of the content. Is the content legitimate? Is the content backed by anybody? Does it have any kind of accreditation anywhere, right? But the reason why people are creating these peer-led programs is because DOC isn't offering very many programs, and the programs that they do offer are normally geared toward the 7 years and under population. So newsflash to the DOC that there's a larger population of people that have more time than 7 years. And so these peer-led programs are being created by the guys with this time to be able to offer something to the guys that have an excessive amount of time. So stopping these peer-led programs is a very big no-no, essentially, that they're doing. And I think it's just not effective when you're just stopping people from being able to help other people.
Okay, one of the big things in the news right now is they're talking about mass shootings and the increase in crime. We're kind of labeling some of the people that are committing these violent crimes, and I've noticed that there are not a lot of former inmates that are being listed as the shooter or as the perpetrator. Why do you think criminals, after they're convicted and get out of prison, that they're not committing as many crimes as the public would expect them to commit?
I'm going to be honest with you, Joe, man. It's time. When you sit inside of this 9x12 cell and you really have time to analyze what it is that you're going through, especially those that have been doing substantial amount of time, right? For myself, I've been in here for 15 years. And over these 15 years, I've had some adjustments that I needed to make. And through those adjustments, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about my capabilities. I've learned a lot about the things that I'm able to do, right? And through all of that, I've been able to pick myself up and decide, you know what, I'm going to make an effort to be a change and not be the person I was when I came in here, but to be a better version of that person, right? And I think that echoes to a lot of other people that have gone through this system and got out. Now, I'm not saying everybody's perfect now, but there's a reason why you're seeing such an influx of people that aren't doing it. It's because people are being put in these situations and they're being surrounded by peers that encourage them to go back out into the community and do better. Right? This brings me back to the peer-led programs. A lot of these guys that I know that have gotten out after taking peer-led programs have said, like, you know, I learned a lot from these programs that you guys helped me with, and I'm able to utilize that with my family, with my loved ones, in relationships that I'm with. Even just the everyday Joe Schmo that be there at the grocery store.
What kind of changes would you make to the penal system right now? You're saying that you were in there for an extended period of time and you had plenty of time to think about what you're going to do when you get out and how you can improve your life. Would you say adding more time would help, or would you say alternative sentencing practices? What's some of the things that you think could help improve bringing down recidivism?
We're currently in a class, a Whitman class, where we're talking about restorative justice. And this is a very big topic, right? Because we're looking at alternative ways rather than the punitive aspect of putting people in prison. And I think a lot of people that come into prison, this is going to be their one and done. You know, you do have those people that come in and out that just haven't got it yet, but they're work in progress, right? No beyond redemption, in my personal opinion. Everybody's just a project that's working towards becoming greater later. And so I think a lot of the things that we have, the biggest issue right now is drugs, man. There needs to be an alternative aspect to someone that commits a crime off a substance, and they need to be having treatment. Instead of just thrown inside of the penitentiary and just told, this is what you have to do, and then being put inside of rigorous programs that are ran by correction staff that don't care about your well-being, but just care whether or not you show up to the class so they can infract you or not, right? And so I think a lot of the classes and stuff that are being offered and the restorative efforts that are being made are being taught by people of corrections. Those are people that are there to just correct behavior, not help you understand your behavior. And so it's the difference between telling someone, don't go in that room, compared to the reason why you don't go into that room, right? And so I think we need to have more people that understand the mental aspect of why people do what they do, more so than just the visual aspect of just seeing people do what they do. And I think that would reduce recidivism immensely, because people are leaving with no real skills unless they're getting assistance from their peers amongst other people inside. Now, I will say this. There are some programs that have been offered where outside support has came in, and they've been very effective and very helpful for a lot of people. But that's because it's outside support, people from the community that have no skin in the game, that actually genuinely care about human beings, not the person that they're being labeled as, not the person that they were 10, 15, 20 years ago, but the person that they are today. We are judging the value of someone's character and not what they have done. And it's really important. And I think that will help reduce recidivism immensely by having more outside community coming in and helping the brothers and sisters over there in Purdy out and being able to make a difference.
Now, as you know, one of the big topics out there is the ban on what they call assault weapons. And I like to use the argument that it's not the weapon that's causing the problem, it's the people, but they're constantly saying that we need to get rid of these guns and then our children won't die. What is your opinion on banning guns? Do you think this will help cut down mass shooting?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't think banning them is the right. What I've noticed is a reoccurring thing in the news is that there are these telltale signs that people give before they go and do these mass shootings. Whether they are true or not, it's just what I can gather from off of the television, because that's my internet, right? The TV is my internet. And so that's what I'm able to gather from that, is that there's these telltale signs that people aren't being aware of. Parents aren't being aware of what's happening on their kids' social media pages. Spouses aren't being aware of what's happening on their loved ones' social media pages, because everybody has these ways of having these outlets to express certain things, but nobody's picking up on the signs, right? Getting rid of guns or having a ban on guns doesn't stop people from getting them illegally. Right? And so do we want to set a precedent by banning these guns and having people to start an influx of more purchases of illegal weapons just to have them? And so my opinion is solely based off of what I've seen in my life experience, that the gun isn't the issue, and that's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? guns don't hurt people, people hurt people. That's a saying that I've heard for I don't know how many years now. And I think it's important that we really hone in on that, right? How many people out there are responsible gun users? How many people out there are taking the safety precautions to make sure that their weapons are secured and that they're being safe with them? We're seeing, yes, mass shootings, but how many more people own guns that aren't doing that, right? So these instances of things shouldn't be a reflective of all.
What would be your advice to people if they were asking you to support them on a gun ban? What do you think could help actually stop the mass shootings in our schools?
Well, that's a pretty big question, right? And I'm not going to pretend like I have the answer today, but I think a small step towards that, right, is I think there has to be a mental health investment for people that do go out and purchase weapons, right? I think that's something that is very big, because if someone isn't mentally stable enough to be able to pass a mental health exam or things of that nature, well, we probably want to make sure that that type of instability doesn't get their hands on such a powerful weapon, essentially, right? And that's just something that I've discussed with other people in here as well. How many people have to have that? It's like you turn 18 and then now you can have a gun, right? And that, I've heard that they've raised it up in some states to 21 and other states to 25. But I think that's one of the biggest things, man, is that there should be some type of mental health background check or things of that nature to kind of help see whether or not this person, you know what I'm saying, might need that. And I think it's a really based thing.
All right. As you can see, we're down to 1 minute. So is there anything you'd like to say before we end this conversation?
Man, I would just like to say thank you for this opportunity. If you guys want to hear any other content from me, Anthony Covert, you can go to Voice to the People presented by AC. I have a YouTube page where I talk about multiple different things. Go and check it out. And thank you all for listening in and giving me the opportunity to speak to you all. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe.